Paul Hoey has left his imprint on every part of CAS-CIAC in his many decades of service. From committees to boards to excellence as a school leader and CAS-CIAC director, his work is an integral chapter of the story of education and education-based athletics in Connecticut.
Paul, to me, is the consummate CAS-CIAC person, and he brought so much to this organization, helped to build CIAC into the wonderful organization that it is today.
I got involved in CIAC in the Connecticut Association of Schools early on in my career at the encouragement of one of my principals when I was an assistant. So I started serving on committees and being active, back in the 70s, and continued from there. In those days, we felt an obligation as school administrators to be involved, to give back for the benefit of the students and also for the good of athletics in the state.
Paul is certainly a role model as a principal, first and foremost, but as a leader in CAS-CIAC as well. That's how I knew him personally from our work on committees together, but I always respected the job he did at school and the time he was able to devote to our organization as well.
He was a great leader without having to force the leadership role upon you. You just wanted to work with him and you wanted to work for him.
The high school principal's position had evolved to the fact that you didn't have a heck of a lot of time to devote to being creative or looking at new programs necessarily because of the demands of the job. This would be an opportunity for me to stay connected to what I was doing, stay connected to the people that I had worked with for many, many years, and have a statewide responsibility in a new position, and it'd be a new challenge.
First word that comes to mind for me is respect. Paul he was in a difficult position working with CIAC, often doing mediation and solving problems, and Paul knew then and still does how to mediate and how to stay really solid and really calm through the storm. And I think that he has earned respect from people all over the state of Connecticut because of that.
Paul was always my go-to person because I could discuss things with Paul, I could argue with Paul, and I always knew that I was going to get a fair answer from him.
I would hope that they would think that I always listened. That I didn't necessarily always agree with them, but we could always have the conversation and hopefully come up with a compromise that would be acceptable to all of us. Most of the people that I dealt with, if not all of them, understood the pressures and parameters of the job, but I just want them, hopefully they'll remember me as someone who cared about their concerns and would always listen to them.
Paul Hoey is the consummate professional. He had great perspective. He's a first-class individual. In everything he does with dignity, integrity. He's a great representative for CIAC.
Made himself available to train the folks who replaced him and who replaced them. So he's been a real asset to our organization. And I think recognizing Paul is maybe an example to set for other people to hold their involvement to that standard.
Paul is so deserving of this award, and he could have been deserving of it 15 years ago when he worked here, and 15 years from now when he's playing a little more golf. Paul always would deserve this award. He is part of CIAC, and his name is part of the legacy of this group and always will be. The
way he conducts himself and his personal attributes, he's just the kind of guy that inspires people just by being Paul.
So I feel very fortunate that I've been selected for this, and it's kind of a reaffirmation of all the hard work that you put in and the dedication that you had to the organization.